Welcome to the C-Suite series presented by Channel Check and Noble Capital Markets. Noble's an SEC-registered, FINRA-licensed broker-dealer and the source of the equity research available on Channel Check. Today's interview features Lifeway Foods, NASDAQ ticker symbol LWAY. Noble Senior Research Analyst Joe Gomes interviews Lifeway President and CEO Julie Smolyansky and CFO Eric Hanson. Visit channelcheck.com or click the link in the description to access equity research, news, and advanced market data on Lifeway Foods, all at no cost. And now, here's Joe, Julie, and Eric.
With us today is Julie Smolyansky, CEO, and Eric Hanson, CFO of Lifeway Foods. Good afternoon, Julie and Eric, and thanks for taking the time to sit down with us.
Thanks for having us.
For those in the audience unfamiliar with Lifeway Foods, can you talk a little bit about the company's history and what you do?
Sure. Lifeway Foods is a over 35-year-old company that is dedicated to manufacturing and promoting and raising awareness around kefir specifically, which is the product that we manufacture, and probiotics and gut health kind of in general. Kefir is a 2,000-year-old fermented superfood that was that originated in the former in a region in the Caucasus Mountains, which is near Russia and Ukraine, which originally is where my family came from. And when my family, my parents and I immigrated from the former Soviet Union back in 1976, along with bringing ourselves over to the U.S., my parents brought kefir with them, and this vision and idea of bringing the staple food, a healing food, a superfood that was completely unknown in the United States, and popularizing it, marketing it in the United States. So Lifeway was founded in 1986. My father took it public in 1988. And we have been growing it ever since. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2002. That's when I became the CEO, and we've grown the business over those 20 years from a $12 million company to, today over 120 million. So we're really proud of it, and we've really brought a new category to the marketplace, this category of kefir, which, like I said, was unknown, unheard of, did not exist in the United States. And we've really been dedicated to raising awareness around it and the health benefits. And, what I can tell you is that today's science is backing up what my ancestors knew 2,000 years ago. And 2,000 years ago, they believed that they felt better when they consumed kefir. They experienced a sense of well-being. They attributed their longevity, the region where kefir comes from, the people lived past 100 years of age, and they attributed their longevity to their consumption of kefir. And today, we're learning more and more every day about the benefit of kefir, its impact on our immune system, its impact on digestive, on our mental health. That's new science that we're learning. So, we're really, really inspired and optimistic about all the research that's coming out that's only helping us, sell more Lifeway and help people feel better. Bring health to people, which in the last couple of years, as we all know, we've paid a lot of attention to our health, to our immune system, to our mental health. So that's what Lifeway's about. And we're sold in every grocery store across the country, every natural food store like Whole Foods, mass market, and club stores as well.
What a unique history. So before we delve into the company, two recent events occurred that I believe we should address up front. First is the aborted proxy fight, and the second is the accounting issues. Both have been successfully resolved, but maybe you could provide a Cliff Notes version of each.
Well, as many companies go through proxy battles periodically from time to time, we are not unique, and we had gone through a process, and we are excited about the prospect of restoring stability and moving forward in the business. Our management team is really strong, and our board is robust and aligned with management. And we're really excited to be welcoming 2 new board members to our board that we feel are I would say basically complete our skill set that we're looking for in a board, and looking for maximizing shareholder value is always top of mind. And so that we're happy it's resolved. It's never an easy thing, but sometimes something that happens in the corporate world, and that's what I would say about that. And in terms of the delayed filings, we are a small company, even though we're growing, and we've had 10 consecutive quarters of growth, and I'm sure we'll dig deeper into some of those recent results. But we are still a relatively small company, and but we have the same burden as a large company, and that makes it significantly harder for companies today to be public. And we do the best we can, but in light of all sorts of various regulations and delays with all the things that every company is experiencing right now, and doing things remotely and whatnot, certain things are just a little bit delayed, but luckily, and I can let Eric touch a little bit deeper into the delay and the resolution of it.
Sure. As we've disclosed, we had to correct a prior period correction related to a prior acquisition that was non-cash and balance sheet only. So we did that with the release of our 2021 10K and corrected the balances from 2020 onward.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, Lifeway Foods is an important player in the broader probiotic-based products and natural, better-for-you foods sector. Can you provide an overview of what this entails and why Lifeway Foods sees this as an exciting opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is one of the most exciting things happening in the food industry right now. As I mentioned, we created a new category, the kefir category, and it is a subsection of, let's say, the yogurt category, a broader space. And Lifeway controls over 90% of that category. And we believe there's a global play. We're sold not just in the United States, we're also in Mexico, in parts of Europe, parts of the Middle East, parts of Asia. So there's definitely a global demand for kefir. We see that demand rising, as I kind of alluded to before in the earlier question. The science and research is really pushing this growth and demand. We're learning a lot about gut health, about bacteria, about how we can manipulate our wellness and our health. But the probiotic industry is a $9 billion industry that's growing at a 7% clip globally. So that's really exciting. 83% of consumers know about probiotics and know that they should be consuming probiotics. There's no better way to get probiotics than through a dairy source. There's research that shows that consuming probiotics through a dairy source, a fermented dairy, is the best way to make sure that those probiotics do what they're supposed to and survive the entire digestive tract. Consumers believe that most millennials are willing to pay over 20% more for products with probiotics in them. So there's a lot to be excited about in this space as the category leader, the 95% dominant player in the space. and the capacity to fulfill that demand with the know-how, the longevity, the history, the legacy that Lifeway has. It's pretty remarkable, and we feel really honored to be in this place and to be, play a role in people's lives and families' lives as they reach and aspire to better health.
So with such a dominant market share in kefir, I mean, who kind of do you consider as the competitors in that kefir space? And are you seeing more competition looking to come in, or is it something where with such a dominant market share, you're not really seeing additional entrants into the market?
I think we're in a really great sweet spot. Like, the big players are not totally interested in this right now, or they're more focused on their own primary core businesses, because as we all know, things are kind of messy right now in the world. So I think, the big players are really focused on their core business, and the little guys don't have the capital or the energy, the wherewithal to get in. So we're kind of in this really sweet middle spot. We have a long history, a strong loyalty with our consumers. If a retailer somehow decides to make the mistake of discontinuing Lifeway, they usually end up with mass consumer revolt. I've seen Facebook groups started, demanding Lifeway's back, and usually it's some kind of error or something mistake that happens when that happens, but the retailer finds out quickly that they have to have Lifeway or their consumers will boycott them. So I think that puts us in a really strong position to continue on this trajectory. And listen, I think, it's what is the greatest form of flattery? Imitation. And it's great when companies come in and try to raise, a rising tide raises all ships. I want everybody to know about probiotics and kefir, and when they find out, I think they'll do their homework and realize that Lifeway is the best way to get that kefir and that probiotics. You want to be with the gold standard, and we're also selling not just a product, not just a commodity, but an aspirational lifestyle, a more global, broader vision of what food should look like, what brands should look like, what companies should, how they behave and how they act. It's not just a commodity, and it's hard to replicate that. And others have tried, but I think consumers are very sophisticated and smart, and will do their own research and homework, and ultimately stick with and support the products that they know and love, like Lifeway.
Very interesting. Now, in August of 2021, Lifeway acquired GlenOaks Farms. Mm-hmm. Can you provide some detail on what GlenOaks does, how it will add value to Lifeway Foods?
Sure. Well, first of all, California is one of our top markets. Outside of Chicago, I would say California and New York are the other very big markets for us. And GlenOaks is a West Coast brand that has had a long history and longevity as well. So very similar to Lifeway in a timeline of their history. But they're mostly and exclusively distributed in the West Coast, and they are one of the top yogurt brands, one of the top drinkable yogurts in California and West Coast. And that market was very appealing. And so, when Lifeway looks at acquisitions, we look at synergies, and that could be regional synergies, that could be distribution, that could be product synergies. In this case, we were really interested in the region and the opportunities in California. California, Los Angeles, and San Francisco are the health capitals of the world, health food capitals of the world. So it was really important for us to get closer in that community. But additionally, Their product mix. I'm continue to be impressed with their product selections and their high quality of probiotics within their drinkable yogurt space. So it's slightly different than Lifeway, in that they're selling drinkable yogurt and we are selling kefir, but it's close enough where it's a real synergy. And again, we want to drive the conversation around probiotics, and maybe for somebody who's not quite as ready to jump into the kefir space, maybe drinkable yogurt feels a little bit an easier way to dip their toes into that. Some people just want maybe it's an economic play, it's a slightly less expensive product. We would like to be able to provide products to people in all different brackets and different lifestyles. And additionally, I think it's important to be as close as possible to the consumer in the manufacturing process. So, buying the GlenOaks, acquiring them has given us some manufacturing synergies that we might be able to use, and some economies of scale come into play too out in the West Coast. And I think, in light of transportation costs and all of the trickle down costs of supplies and whatnot, if we can make product closer to where the consumer, the end user, is going to buy it, that will bring the product cost down as well, and ultimately, give us some more opportunities to unlock some capacity in our Midwest facilities in Chicago, where the majority of our manufacturing takes place. So we have, years ago, we had acquired a company in the East Coast. So we have some manufacturing in the East Coast, in the Midwest, and now in the West Coast. And again, in light of these high transportation costs, it makes a heck of a lot of sense not to have to ship product across the country if we can make it closer to where the consumer is going to buy it, for a whole lot of reasons.
Now, would you see maybe in the future of, expanding the GlenOaks product maybe over to the East Coast or the Midwest throughout the rest of the country?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is another, an opportunity that, because GlenOaks was made in the West Coast, it's like the reverse is true, for them to ship it across the country to the Midwest and the East Coast doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So in this way, we can use the brand, use the formula, and expand the GlenOaks name further out east. And I think also, in light of the fact that there has been so much migration of people, from one state to another, some of that awareness of some of these local, long-standing legacy brands, with people moving around, they still want to buy their longtime favorite brands. So we know there's migration from every state to all other states. People just want to change. So, we'd like to be able to continue to offer their favorite brands in wherever state they plan to reside, or, recreationally or as residents.
Now, do you expect M&A to remain a key arrow in Lifeway Foods' quiver? You've mentioned some of the criteria that you look for in potential acquisitions. What about on the financial side?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to continue to look at potential opportunities. That there has to be a number of synergies that make sense. We want to buy the companies that have those synergies for us, whether it is a product or distribution or some manufacturing opportunities. So those would be the biggest criteria. And that is definitely a way to grow and to get stronger and build more into the business. So that is always on the table, and we continue to explore all those options when they make sense for us. And we have cash in the bank, so we can do that, and mostly try to finance our acquisitions internally with our own capital. But we kind of make that decision as the opportunities present themselves. But yeah, I mean, synergies have to be there, and then the right size. We don't want to take on something that's too overwhelming, but something that's manageable for us. Ideally in the probiotic space, I think that's a big piece of it. Wellness, gut health is something that we really understand. We really understand the refrigerated space. That's also really important to make sure that we would be able to successfully integrate that, whatever the business is, would be some key points of why we'd make an acquisition or not.
Thanks for that detail. Now let's switch gears for a moment away from the products and into the marketing and advertising. Can you give us a little insight into your strategy there? I mean, how is the company expanding its addressable market?
Yeah, we've always been very I think savvy with our communications and our marketing. We were very early on. We were one of the first companies on Facebook, on Twitter. I think we were the 5th company on Twitter. That really gave us a strong, loyal following. It gave us the opportunity to communicate in a real, authentic way with our community and our customers. And I think that came through, and our customers, it resonated with them. And I even remember Vogue magazine did a write-up about our company, and they said that our use of social media gave us an avant-garde status and a cult-like following. And I think that's true, and I think that has continued to be the case. And we continue to lean into digital opportunities where the cost of getting a customer is less, and we look at ways to engage with our consumer in a deeper way through our social media. That continues to be a bigger part of our marketing, and that really was a benefit for us because we've built this strong community on social media, that when lockdown happened and people, were living on their devices, we were really providing added value to our community and offering, like, for example, online fitness classes or online meditation or, yoga or mental health chats. So really engaging with consumers in a different way that maybe brands don't usually have the time or capabilities or community, but we had built that community. So, we've done over 250 live Instagram sessions with our community, and we even were able to find ways to continue to build trial. Trial, obviously, getting people to try Lifeway kefir is one of the key ways of building those lifelong consumers. In the past, we've done a lot of grassroots marketing and demos, in-store demos, trade shows, and things like that. And then, of course, when lockdown happened, that made it significantly harder. So, we really did lean into the online piece of our business, digital, making sure that when consumers were making their electronic shopping carts, that they had Lifeway in their basket, and that they were, creating those shopping lists early on. So, getting them to engage has been super important and something that I think we do really well. And speaking with an authentic voice has been another key, I think, attribute of our brand and what we're about. And I think it really resonates with consumers. We can see they're really appreciative and support the business and support the mission. So those are some of the ways, but we are one of the premier sponsors of the various Van Gogh Interactive. It's evolved into Monet and Frida and all these really beautiful art collections that are these immersive experiences. So we're the sponsor of those nationwide. And we do a yoga series there live, and then the attendees receive some kefir that they can try. That's garnished over 150 million media impressions around the country. So just continuing to remind people that Lifeway is a brand that they can trust for their families, for their kids, for themselves, and that again, we're not just a commodity, but we're really encouraging people to change overall lifestyle choices. We know that when people are making positive choices in one part of their life, let's say, moving their body, working out, doing yoga, whatever, going for a walk, they're more likely to also make positive food choices. So aligning those together is really important to us. So those are just some of the things, but I would say, we really have an integrated marketing approach with live events, activations, trial to digital to in-store opportunities and promotions and things like that.
So really on the leading edge of the digital marketing and advertising. It's very interesting. So recently there's been a lot of talk in the press about inflation, supply chain constraints, imbalance of supply demand for employees. For example, milk prices have been volatile over the past 18 months. How is Lifeway Foods addressing these?
Yeah, I mean, listen, inflation, I've been around the block long enough to know that this is part of our cycle and business. And like all companies, we have been managing the inflation pressures. And I would say we've done a really great job of managing that. We, like many other companies, have gone through a price increase, and we did not even have any, nobody blinked, let's put it that way. Every retailer and every customer took it and understood why and understand the necessity of it. And it keeps us healthier and stronger. And we do have that price elasticity. We see that price elasticity, as I mentioned earlier. Consumers are willing to pay up at least 20% more for products that they are feeling some sort of value from, like probiotics. So knowing that there is some price elasticity gave us the confidence to be able to do those price increases. And it's an unfortunate thing that we have to do. We're in this together. These increases are not necessarily let's say our fault. Like, there's a war, and gas is through the roof. We know that. Hopefully these pressures will be relieved soon. I'm optimistic and hopeful. I think we've seen gas come down now over 60 days in a row, which is the biggest decrease I think that we've seen in a long time. So I think I'm optimistic that things will kind of stabilize soon. I'm always hopeful, and I think I'm just really proud that we have this price elasticity and we are a dominant player in the space. So we do what we can, but it's we look for efficiencies. I think this opportunity forces us and all companies to look for their efficiencies, where they can get leaner, where they can maybe not do things that are no longer working, or just evolve. I think it's an opportunity for businesses to evolve, to do things in a more cost efficient way, and to recalibrate. We're in a time of uncertainty, and we have to be nimble, and we have to respond, and we have to transform and evolve. And then I would also say, in terms of the labor shortage, what I'm really proud of is, Lifeway has a very strong, long history with our team members. Many of our team members have been with us for over 30 years. So we did not feel and experience that sort of labor shortage like many other companies did. Our team, it feels very much like a family, and they stayed with us in maybe ways that other companies didn't have the same experience with their teams. But our team stayed. They couldn't imagine leaving, and I'm really proud of that. It speaks to the culture that we've created in our business. And that similar culture transpired also into our relationships with our vendors. And supply chain. While many folks did experience a lot of pain with supply chain, we didn't short a single customer. Our vendors, were committed to making sure that Lifeway had all of the raw materials that we needed. And we were also very proactive in communicating with our vendors around our needs and our projections. And we were, projecting far out, and we gave them significant extra double, triple lead time to continue to supply Lifeway without any interruption. And so again, it just speaks to the culture of the business and our relationships with our vendors and teammates.
Excellent. You mentioned previously about the consecutive quarters of growth. How is Lifeway achieving those, and how do you kind of see that playing out on the, from the 10,000 foot level, going forward?
Yeah, we have just reported on our 10th quarter of consecutive growth. I'm super proud of that. Back in 2018, we announced a Lifeway 2.0 plan, which laid out a strategy of how we were going to go back into a position of growth. I would say that strategy really helped us in COVID, because we had our strategy laid out before COVID hit. We were able to execute, and I think it only expedited our growth, by at least 5 years. And so I think we came into the pandemic in a position of strength, because we had laid out this plan already. And that has given us, we're 12.7% annual growth since we announced the Lifeway 2.0 plan. We just announced our 2021 results at 119 million. In 2019, we were 93.7 million. So, really remarkable growth in these last 10 quarters. And again, it speaks to the culture, it speaks to the dedication of the teammates, of the management team, of the board, and our vendors and suppliers, all, aligned and in that strategy. And I'm very, very proud of all that we have achieved in these few years, and continue to look for those opportunities. And I think in the challenging times is when some of the best opportunities also present themselves. I was around for the recession in 2008, and we launched ProBugs, which is a line for children. It's in a pouch, so it was the first pouch in the United States that was launched, and obviously being the first of anything makes it really expensive. It was the most expensive product in the dairy case, and I remember my team telling me, this is crazy, it's the most expensive product in the dairy case, you can't launch this in a recession. And my gut feeling told me that while consumers might trade down and maybe not take a vacation or not buy that car or buy that TV, they are looking for affordable luxuries, and they will always invest in their health and their children's health. My gut was right in that, parents really sought out better health products for their kids. And I think that is a similar thing that we're going through now. While affordable, while those big ticket purchases will be delayed, affordable luxury and things, good food that is actually have some benefit with science behind it, is something that consumers are going to seek out. Immunity benefits, mental health benefits I touched on earlier. We have a mental health crisis in this country, and having a therapist for every person in the country isn't sustainable or possible. But what we can do is offer tips for people on how they can, access some of those better for you lifestyle choices. We know we can manipulate our wellness, and so I think that's another. Those are some of the opportunities that I see right now.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for Lifeway going forward?
Well, it's always there's always a need for capital. There's always, we're always operating a tight ship, on a tight budget. So, accessing more capital to be able to continue to scale is, I think, something that I'm always challenged with. And I wish there was more money to be able to do bigger campaigns and bigger more scalable ways to communicate with our community, marketing and advertising. I also see for Lifeway, my vision is to make Lifeway to kefir what Tropicana is to orange juice or Hershey's is to chocolate globally. That is something that is in the future that we see. We put our flag in the ground in Mexico, in France, in the UK, in Ireland, and in Dubai, and in parts of Asia. So there's definitely some opportunities there that I see, especially as I mentioned, continue to reiterate the global demand for kefir and probiotics and gut health awareness is at an all-time high, and that's only going to keep growing because of all the science and research that's happening.
Very exciting vision for the future, Julie. Finally, can you give us your elevator pitch for an investor looking at Lifeway?
Sure. Lifeway, I would invest in Lifeway being a 95% category leader of a global market, that the demand for probiotics and gut health is at an all-time high. And Lifeway, we've invested in our infrastructure, in our capacity, production capacity, that we can actually fulfill and fill this demand. They say if you build it, they will come. Well, we've built it and they're coming. So that opportunity, we're big enough that we can scale, and we have that long history and legacy as the gold standard in kefir around the world. So I think we've done an incredible job in executing on Lifeway 2.0. Again, couldn't be more proud of the team. And I think it's an exciting time as we look at the new opportunities for Lifeway 3.0. And I'm definitely feel like we're at the beginning of our story.
Excellent. Well, Julie and Eric, we covered a lot of ground today and got significant insight into what Lifeway Foods does, its markets and opportunities. We appreciate you taking the time to do this CEO interview, and we wish you and the company the best in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having us and allowing us to share this story.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this C-Suite interview presentation brought to you by Channel Check. View our YouTube channel for more video content, including C-Suite interviews, virtual roadshows, and conference presentation replays. New content is added regularly, so subscribe below to stay up to date. Visit channelcheck.com or click the link in the description to access equity research, news, and advanced market data on this and the 6,000 other small and micro-cap companies listed.